Hey, everybody. Welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket. Interesting start to this one, Bluey. It must be cold in Adelaide. Got the full hood going.
Yeah.
No.
The big DOS is still at Stratty and crystal clear, but let's just shut up and make this all about one man, and one man only. 604 test wickets, 167 test matches. How the hell do you do that when you're a fast bowler? 27 was the average, as good as the game has produced in the last 25 years, now making a great living as a terrific broadcaster, and he's with us this summer. Stuart Broad, welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket.
Thanks for having me, guys, and Happy New Year to you all. It's a pleasure to be on the pod, and it's pretty awesome to be in Australia, to be honest.
Mate, well, this is a great journey. I love it because you were the agent provocateur for England against Australia for all of those years. You just used to stick the little jab into the side of the ribs, and we all loved it because it's exactly what cricket's about. You've come out here now to broadcast with Seven, and suddenly you are Australia's favourite son. How does that feel?
It's do you know what? Australia's a much better place when you're not playing cricket for England. I'll go it's, the hospitality, everything about it's absolutely superb. And you know, coming into the Seven commentary box, I've definitely felt like part of the team, been brought straight into it, and it's been great fun. You know, ultimate. Had a few more days off than, well, I'd say with that, days off are great, but the 2-day test matches sort of it'll give you a bit of time to see the country. But yeah, it's a wonderful place to be for sure.
Judging by that room, though, Broady, we haven't exactly forgotten because you're in one of the best cities in the world, and that, to me, looks like an absolute magnificent view of it.
Well, that's the best view I've got as well, that derelict white building. You can see the rest of it. The most beautiful city in the world with all the coastline and the harbour and all that. And yeah, it's not the most impressive sights, but no, I'm thrilled to be here. But yeah, do you know, I don't know, are you allowed to swear on this pod? I'm assuming so. But there was a real sort of Aussie, like, you know, the sort of the green zinc, that sort of vibe. Came up to me in the last test and he was like, Broady, you're not a shit bloke. You're a good cunt. And I was like, I don't quite know how to take that.
Yeah, highest recommendation.
I'm not sure the C word in England means good at all. And also yesterday I was playing, I had a lovely day out yesterday with Ed Cowan on the Australian golf course. Fantastic.
Oh, yes.
And a fella came up to me, youngish lad actually, going, "Oh, Broady, like, loving you being here. It's been great fun having you. You're a better commentator than you were a player." Does that mean I was really bad as a player, or does that mean I'm doing all right?
Hey, Broady, is this your first chance to have a proper look at Australia? I know you're playing a lot of golf, but we know what it's like. You know, when you're touring, you're sort of in the bubble a bit. How much have you enjoyed sort of having those days off and have a bit of a look around?
It's been a completely different experience, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, touring Australia as an England player is amazing. The best time I had in Australia playing cricket was with the Hobart Hurricanes. I felt like I was part of Australia for a bit. You know, actually down in Tassie, they bought into me being one of theirs. And, you know, at that time it was BBL, 8 maybe, and the whole place turned purple. It was great. But as an England player, you're just under the pump a little bit. You know, you are hotel rooms, your cricket grounds, your training. Certainly the tours I came, there were sort of 4 or 5 day test matches as well. So you're playing a lot of cricket. So you don't get to see the country. We didn't get any Noosa trips looking back. We didn't get that sort of little holiday. But you get to see the country so much more being a pundit and be able to socialise a lot more. It's awesome. And, you know, you just, as a player, particularly when we're losing here, as happened 99% of the time, you feel like you can't go out for a bite to eat or can't go out for a beer because you're letting people have travelled to watch you. You know, you've got to show professionalism, and it's quite hard to switch off. Whereas this game, it's wonderful, isn't it? I can get why there's so many legends of the game sort of walk into the commentary because you're talking about things that you love. You know, you're talking about something that you know deeply about. You still care about a huge amount, but you take that earpiece off at the end of play and you can relax. As a player, very, very different experience.
So, Broady, let me take you back. We all knew and loved your dad because he toured here magnificently in the 80s. But you grew up in a house where your old man was a star in Nottingham. You went to school, that part of the world, and then you ended up playing at Leicester Explain that to me. Did Notts just not realise what they had right under their nose? How did that all work?
Yeah, Notts didn't want me. So yeah, I was at school in Leicestershire as well. But Notts had a very strong academy. You know, whenever we played Notts under 10s, 12s, they were just really, really powerful, a big test match club. And to be honest, I showed no ability till I was 17. I loved playing. I loved hanging around. But I was really small. I couldn't really hit the ball off the square. I bowled little dobbers, barely bowled. I mean, I actually got signed by Leicestershire as a 16, 17-year-old as a top order batter who bowled, you know, maybe little Jonathan Trotts, really, little like.
Oh, that's not great.
15 No, seriously. Seriously, I got signed as this batting all-rounder, and I came to Australia, played for Hoppers Crossing out in Victoria. And in England, we were very restricted for injury-wise. You're allowed to bowl sort of 5 over spells, and it was all protected. I got here as the overseas pro. They lobbed me the ball and said, well, you bowl until they're bowled out type thing, and you're opening the batting as well. Suddenly I was bowling 15 over spells, and that hardened me up big time as a cricketer. And I grew at that time, you know, and so I went back to Leicestershire. They've signed me on like a junior contract, and I played first team cricket as a first change bowler 4 months later. You know, that winter, it was just playing proper men's cricket, hard, tough. You're the overseas pro. We're expecting you to do the job, get throwing the ball every time the pressure's on. And I just learned my trade really over at Hoppers Crossing. And yes, it wasn't grade cricket. It wasn't, you know, I think it was sub-district or maybe something like that. But I loved it. And Leicestershire, to be honest, didn't know the player they were signing because they signed me as someone completely different. I had a growth spurt. I think I grew just shy of a foot in a year, which is quite good for the bowling. It suddenly bounced off a length. And that was the summer Haydos. I think I played a warm-up game of bowling you boys in the nets at Leicestershire in 05. And that was my first taste of proper cricket, really.
Bowling parameters, Broady. There's a lot of people in the back of these change rooms that do put not only international scene, but also in grade level and first class cricket that do put a lot of restrictions on bowling number of overs. I'd be interested to get your take on that. What is the right combination? Is it that hardened athlete that you get, you know, in sub-district cricket that accelerates your progress? Or what's the right combination? Because we talk about it often.
I think it really varies on the individual, and it probably took me till I was 24, 25. So that was 5 years of playing international cricket to understand what training and what level of bowling suited me to get me on the park. And Jimmy and I were very similar, actually. We sort of stuck to S&C programs in our early 20s. I picked up side strains, he picked up back injuries and just little niggles here and there. And then I realized, okay, what works for me? I went a bit old school, actually. I looked at someone like Bob Willis and Richard Hadley, and they used to do a lot of running. And actually, when I looked at running and the fast bowling, 80% of it is running technique and arriving at the crease, balance, tempo. So I worked a lot on running technique with a fellow called Phil Scott, who was our S&C, to protect sort of my body from injury. Did all body weight stuff in the gym rather than big bench presses and squats. And I classed myself really as a running athlete that then delivered the ball at the end of the mark. And that gave me great aerobic fitness. How I looked at it is my bones have to be hardened enough for me to take the load of 10 times your body weight every time you bowl. And how can I get my bones hardened? By running, I'd run on roads sometimes, and actually Phil would disagree with me on this, but I said, I want to run on concrete because it's giving my bones that shock that I'm going to get when I bowl fast. And I think that allowed me to bowl longer spells. And I was a bit unique that I didn't bowl thousands of overs at 14, 15, because I just didn't have the talent to get thrown the ball. So my body was protected through those little periods. But I do believe you've got to bowl to be able to deliver your skill. And we actually, at the top level, I think we've seen it with these England bowlers on this Ashes tour, that they come into the series undercooked, certainly with their skill level. And 3 of the guys have left. So Mark Wood, Gus Atkinson, Jofra have all left with injuries after 4 test matches. So yeah, it sounds old. It sounds a bit sort of, old school in a way, but I just believe overs in the legs, getting your body used to that action of bowling. And I think there's a stat somewhere of who's bowled the most amount of overs in the last sort of 15 years or between the ages of 18 and 24. It was Jimmy Anderson and I, and we ended up not having major injury issues.
Broady, I've heard you talk about it a little bit on other podcasts, but I was only talking to Ricky Ponting, who you're working with out here, Channel 7, about the Lords incident, the whole Johnny Bairstow, Alex Carey thing. And I could see the glint in his eye. He was talking about how it just went so feral, Lords. He said the aggression within that place was like out of this world. I'd love to hear how it all transpired. And obviously you're a big part of that when you came out to bat. I mean, and then, the guys walking through the long room, we've never seen anything like it, and we probably won't see anything like it again.
No, so, I was next in to bat after Johnny got out. So, you know what the Lord's change rooms are like. You don't have a great view of the ground. So generally what you do is you sit in your changing room seat, watch on the telly. The telly's about a 3 or 4 second delay. So I'm sat there and I hear this sort of half appeal grumble out in the middle. And McCullum stood by the door. So I'm like, what's happened, Baz? And he's like, it's a bit of a sort of end of the over. Johnny's gone to say, how's it to Stokesy? A bit of a run out thing. And I watched it on the telly. So I get up and I'm like shaking my legs around. I might be in it. I watched it on the telly, one glance, and I thought, it's just the end of the over. Just off to tap gloves. So I sit back down. And then I hear this massive boo, like huge sort of noise come from the middle. I'm like, I was like, Baz, what's happened there? He's like, he's out. I said, what does that mean? He's like, you're in. So I'm like, scrambled. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm walking through the long room. And normally when you walk past the batter coming in, you're like, is it swinging? Is it seaming? What's the pace like? Is it a bit sort of glary out there? Johnny, fuming, just storms past me. So that was my first connection with like real anger. And then I get to the long room doors, the double doors that go down the stairs. And you're right next to the members. It's really unique. You got the members are sort of a yard either side of you. And I'm just walking out of my own little bubble, not really connected to the incident. And just a member is sat there. I catch eyes with him. He's looking at me and he just goes, that's a disgrace, like that. And I remember thinking, is it a disgrace? Really? Like, is that? So I run over the boundary's edge and I sort of get myself hyped. And Pat Cummins is walking towards me because he's bowling the next over from the pavilion end. And he's just looking at me, as all Australian bowlers did. And they try and have a bit of an impact on you even before you face the ball, show a bit of presence. And we end up having a bit of a ding-dong over something. And I think I said to him, you're a disgrace. I just passed on the message from the I mean, he's sort of quick as a flash when, yeah, Broady, you're hardly the face of the spirit of cricket. And I thought, that's a pretty good comeback. That revved me up. I was like, I'm not having that. So I get out to Stokes and I didn't really look at him, tap gloves, I'm with you, mate, I'm with you. And I just started getting in a real battle with anyone in a green cap, really, just having a pop. I was doing this most pathetic thing in the world I've not done since under 12s where I'm saying in. So I'd like hit the ball, I'd go back to my mic, going in, looking at all of the in. I said a nonsense thing to Alex Carey, that's all you're going to be remembered for. He's gone on and absolutely blazed Test cricket since then, so that was a bad thing to say to him. That's sort of that's made him a better player. And but I was complete red mist. The crowd are singing "Same old Aussies always cheating." Pat was fielding at long off, and he's running down there, and I'm screaming at him from the non-strikers end, like, Pat, all these boos, they're for you. After like 20 minutes, like I tap gloves with Stokes in the middle, and he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Sorry, Skip. Yeah, I'm all over the place here. Like, I'm back with you. Don't worry." And he goes, "Carry on, keep going." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, have a look round the field now. Look at the Aussies. They're all looking at the floor. They're all wondering about that incident. They're bowling terribly at me, as in Stokesy. We're getting away from them. Keep going at them. Keep taking their mind off what they're trying to do here, the plan. And because you're going at all of them, they're not actually talking as a bowling group. So keep going." So I did 20 minutes of red mist, and then I did 2 hours of absolute play acting nonsense, basically. And the one bit I was the most disappointed with myself in was, I know what it's like to get hit for 6, been hit for thousands of them. But Stokesy Starkey's bowling from the nursery end down, so you're hitting down towards Old Father Time. Stokes is middling them, bouncer out to sort of deep square leg into the stands. And every time it hits middle of Stokes's bat, I'm going, woohoo! Like that. Starkey's looking at me and just eye contact, just like, oh, fuck off, Broady. Do you know what I mean? Just and I think he knew I was just play acting, but definitely playing up to the crowd. But then how I walked in at tea, might have been lunch actually, where that incident in the long room happened. And Stokes's got 100. So we're walking in. The reception for Stokesy was incredible, like roaring, clapping, cheering. So we get to the bit where we turn left to the home change room. And as the Aussies walked in, it turned into the biggest crescendo of boos I've ever heard in my life. Enough that me and Stokesy turned round to say, what's happened there? You know, like, what's going on? And we walked up to the change room. And then suddenly on the TV, we saw this awful stuff about members kicking off at the Aussies and all that sort of stuff. And that got out of hand and completely unnecessary. But there's another little add-on to that story where at lunch, you know, the Lord's dining room, you eat with the Aussies. So you have the England table, match officials, Aussies, and a little TV where the menu is. So Johnny Bairstow played with him 15 years at Lord's, never been up to the dining room. He eats in his spot in the change room. He has a towel over his lap. He eats, does his stuff, and stays down there. Well, he's got run out in the morning. Suddenly he's up at lunch. And everyone's eating their sort of chicken and veg. And Johnny's not got a plate of food. He's got nothing in front of him. He's just staring. He's got quite intense eyes. He's just staring at the Aussies like this, individually. And they're sort of trying to eat, going, a bit uncomfortable this. Why's Johnny staring at? And Zach Foley's a bit of a wind-up merchant, you know. He's like, oh, Johnny, you should ask them. Do you think they're happy with that? Do you think they're happy with that? You know, they can't be happy with that, John. It's unbelievable. How bad was that? And then Sky are just showing it on the telly the whole time. And then he's going again. You should ask him, Johnny. Ask him if they're happy with that. He like smashed his hands on the table, stands up. Are you happy with that, lads? But everyone's like shocked. I think it was like Mitch Marsh or Davey Warner was just like, yeah, Johnny, we're pretty happy with that, to be honest. Like, all conversation stops. It's like, oh, God. What do we say? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Can I ask you, Broady, about how that sits with you now? I'm going to put it through my lens. At the time when I saw it, I thought, you know what? That looks a bit off to me. I'm not sure about that. That's what I thought at the time. But then it sat with me for a couple of days. And as a former batter, I thought, you don't walk out of your crease. It's the first thing you learn when you're 10, you know? You make sure the ball's dead before you walk out of your crease. So I sort of swung a bit, I must admit. But my first reaction was, I think, same as a lot of people. So I went, well, I'm not sure about that. But how do you see it now compared to at the time?
Yeah, really, really good question. And similar to you in a sense. At the time, I thought, well, it's the end of the over. Johnny's just going to like tap gloves with Stokesy. Actually, as the ball hit the stumps, the bowling end umpire already has the cap out to give to Cam Green, and the square leg umpire's walking in to like looking at the ground. So they I don't know what they've said, but in their minds, it's over. You know, it's done. Maybe that's a bit sort of clutching at straws, but it felt like the play had stopped. But actually, when you watch it back from the angle that I hadn't seen before I went out to bat, of Alex Carey gets the ball and lobs it straight away. It's not like he delays anything. He catches it and lobs it. So I wouldn't say this to Johnny's face, but I think it was dozy from Johnny, actually. And it was just a really unique circumstance that it was the end of the over. It felt like the umpires had sort of maybe not called over, but they'd in their minds thought it was over. Johnny's going to think to Stokesy because it's the end of the over. But Alex Carey just picked the ball up and ran him out. So
was there a warning? Was there any kind of communication or warning?
I don't think so. But I think he'd been doing it because Johnny's a bit nervous. I think he'd been doing it 4 or 5 times in a row. So it was definitely a plan, wasn't it? And the only thing I would say is it did ignite the country in that series, and it ignited our team, because where would you dream to go when Johnny Bairstow has been run out in controversial fashion and you're 2-0 down Headingley.
Mm.
We go there and the atmosphere is erupting like crazy. It's so English and like driven towards us playing well. And then the stories of nonsense come out around the Aussies, which England have had to deal with over here in this Ashes series, of Alex Carey not paying for a haircut. He didn't even go for a haircut, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That's why we're drawn to Ashes cricket, because it creates moments that you just would never even think about or dream about being a story. And that series particularly just seemed to have everything, didn't it? Even Starkey's catch, where he just felt like he took a clean cap and it dragged on the floor. And yeah, it just seemed to have absolutely everything, that series, and summed up by that moment, really.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. That Headingley test, watching from back here, the heat coming out of the speakers of your television was just like, whoa, Jesus, what is this? And I'm like, the Poms are up over the trenches. They got the bayonets, and it was just extraordinary. I couldn't agree with you anymore. Couple of things, because we've got borrowed time with you, Broady. We don't want to bog down your day. I love when we have these great guests diving back through the history, and there's some shit about you that I had totally and utterly forgotten about. Firstly,
we have to go here.
That photo of you and Jimmy and Cookie with just the cricket bat in front of the Taj and nothing else on. I brought it up. I'm like, what world did you boys agree to take that photo? Naked with a cricket bat in front.
Long time ago. Don't know why I said yes. Cookie must have done 1,000 press-ups before we went out. By the way, now he's a knight of the realm, looking back, seeing a naked Alastair Cook just banging out press-ups behind a screen. But yeah, we were start bollock, just a bat in front of us, lined up in a row, and then but because it was for a photo, it was for Cosmopolitan magazine, so it was a full crew in front of us. Yeah. So you sort of, what angles are we at here? How are we doing?
Who had the Harrow? Yeah. Who had the size 6?
Yeah, exactly.
The signature bat.
We were just young. We didn't know if we'd play 10 tests, 20 tests, or 100 tests. All of us went and played over 150. But at that time, we were just young kids. So it's a charity, raise awareness. Would you pose for a picture? And I don't think I'd had a beer by then, so I wasn't too worried about the belly being out.
Oh, that's classic. Well, the other one was the 6 sixes in a row, Yuvraj Singh. I had forgotten that happened too. And how...
I am.
I know. It only happened like 4 times in professional cricket, and you were at the bowling end of it. Talk us through that. It was in Durban, wasn't it?
Yeah. Weirdly, it sounds bizarre. Obviously, I wish it never happened, but weirdly was the making of me in a sense, because it was, that awful saying in sport, take the positives. And I hate the saying, but actually from that moment, the positives were we were already out of the World Cup. It was a sort of a dead rubber. We already had our flights booked for the next morning to go. And I was 19 or 20 at the time. And South Africa had played before us. It was a double header on the same ground. And when I look back, preparation was non-existent from me. So we had like a 20-minute gap in between games to get ready. I only had time to mark my run-up at one end, and that was the other end. So immediately when I got asked to bowl that over, I was scrambled. I was like, oh, okay, no run-up. Where am I? So I'm thinking about other things away from what's my field, what delivery am I looking at? I'm thinking about run-ups in a World Cup game. So when I've reflected on it, my preparation was really poor. I didn't attach anything to what ball I was going to bowl. I probably didn't get myself in the right sort of warm-up headspace for an international fixture. And I was just at that stage. I played maybe 7 or 8 ODIs, hadn't played a test by then, but I've got blonde hair. I'm thinking, I've got a bit going on here. I'm quite and then smack in the face as hard as you go. And I think how the rhythm of sport works sometimes is you start off really well, then you get to maybe 26, 27, and you think you've made it, and you stop doing the things that with the real dedication. You just drop off a bit. You have a loss in form. You get class not as good. You maybe get dropped, and then you come back at 31 and the penny's dropped, and you boss the next 5 years. for me, that slap in the face came at 20 or 21. So I didn't waste those 5 years of going, I need to get better. I need to learn this delivery. I need to do this. I need to get preparation. And I built this sort of structure around my game I called warrior mode that connected everything around preparation to get it right. So by the time I was actually 25, 26, I was where I wanted to be as an elite performer. And I knew when I bowled crap, how to get it back. When my body language was bad, how to get it back. And I didn't waste 5 years. So although it was an awful experience, it didn't cost us the World Cup because we were out. And that's why I've got so much respect for Stokesy. He went for 4 in a row in a World Cup final. And the boys thought they'd won it. And he blazes back with, the best sort of 7-8 years of international career after that. So, of course, I wish it never happened. But I look back at it and go, well, if it didn't happen, maybe I'd have floated around thinking I was pretty cool for 5 years and I was good enough. And then, and then not had the career that I'd have had. And actually, there was a couple of things at World Cup. It was you, Haydos, involved with it. I played against Aussies for the first ever time. Again, this young whippersnapper, 5 games in, thought I had a bit of pace. Ran into you at Cape Town, and you did your little walk down. I thought, I'm going to let him have it. Bounced it. You hit me over long on for 6. and that was my quickest bouncer. And I thought, oh, shit. Oh, that's, I'm having a bit of a problem here.
You actually did that to quite a few fast bowlers. You weren't on your own.
Yeah, when you walked, where did you not want it? When you walked, where did you? Because I just
wide
felt like
outside off stump. Wide outside off stump. Yeah, and anything at me was just game on, but anything wide and probably full. They've got so much better, Broady, in skill-wise in coping with that sort of batting now, right? They just sort of find a way to get you out of the hitting zone and whatnot. But, Broady, just turning our attention to the Ashes, it's been crazy. We've absolutely loved having you in the commentary box, by the way. You are a superstar as a broadcaster. How do you sort of summarise, though, 4 games, 13 days, the Ashes is done, the hype is there, but in your mind, what's kind of been the highlights? Where have been those areas where you think is Test cricket still bubbling along as the best? How do you just, I don't know, how do you just summarise the whole thing?
I think Australia in particular has got a bit of work to do on their pitches. Test bowlers do not need a level of help they're being offered at the moment. They just don't need it. And defensive games have changed in the batters because of T20 cricket or whatever. So we do not need pitches that are nibbling around off length on day one. Don't mind the first session. That's the opening batter's job. Get yourself out there and get through the new ball. But to have pitches, I think 3 out of the top 5 in the world in Australia are the pitches that are seaming the most. That's just... that feels like it's gone too far the other way. And I grew up waking up in the morning, flicking on teletext, and the Aussies would be 370 for 4. And you're like, oh, God, here they go again. I'm not saying we want to be 600 plays 600. I think we need to be about 300 plays 300 as brilliant Test match cricket. And it's a bit too favouring the bowlers as we speak. I mean, Adelaide, brilliant Test match, wasn't it? That was the best batting surface we had. So if I could say anything about being in Australia right now, I'd just say, I wouldn't have said this when I was playing, by the way, but I'd just say, just lean the pitches back a bit in the batter's favour, just to give us all a bit more longevity in the games. The bowlers need bounce, and I love Test match pitches that don't seam, but they bounce. Yeah. The batter makes a mistake, they nick it, carries a second slip, thank you very much.
Amen.
You don't and seam. So I feel like that's been a big talking point in this series. I think the Aussies I've had a couple of all-timers deliver that's got them over the line. Travis Head has been awesome. He's played a couple of innings. Perth, one of the best hundreds I've ever seen on a pitch that was going about. And Adelaide, he just makes runs for fun there, doesn't he? He's an absolute jet. And Mitchell Stark's been an all-timer for them as well. So I think England look at this series, and I know the fans are feeling this. What an opportunity missed. What an opportunity missed. Because they've not got it quite right. Even Rob Key came out and said the players have been at 20% of their capability. I mean, it's quite I said it as a pundit. It's quite a strong thing to say as a boss, because you're basically saying my employees have been at 20%.
Yeah.
That's not great. But what are the reasons for that? I know this preparation thing's been sort of talked about. how do you fit that into the schedule? But for Test match cricket against a hardened, experienced Australian team, you got to be ready to go. And winning the 4th Test, yes, awesome. I'm so happy for Stokesy, Rooty, guys that've been touring here for a long time and not had the joy of winning a Test match. But there was an opportunity to do that early in the series and keep this series moving. And I think the fans definitely feel like a missed opportunity here. But the Aussies are just very difficult to beat at home. There's certainly something in it of experience, hardened cricketers that win moments in games. You know, whatever flair and show you've got and ability, if you can't win a little moment in a Test match, you're not going to win Test matches. And I think experience in players makes it easier to pick up on those moments and to drive the game forward. Like England, 100 for 1 at Perth, can't lose from there. You can't. First Ashes Test. And if you had a bit more game awareness or you know, I don't want to say experience, but more time in experiencing those moments, you don't lose from there. You just grab the game and go, thank you very much. So the Aussies have shown they've had their absolute quality 10 out of 10 players stand up in Travis and Starkey. And England haven't managed to have players stand up at the times. But going into Sydney, I just hope it's a really good pitch. It's going to be, what is it, $15 million been lost from the 2 days. I think this will be a 5-day. Sounds old school, but let's see someone get 150.
Yeah.
And I don't want 600 plays, but let's see someone graft an innings and hit some boundaries and make bowlers work to get them out.
What about the golf, mate, as we let you go? You have, as Bluey said, been playing golf around the country. Have you got a couple of favourites? What courses have you loved?
Oh, it's an absolutely ridiculous place to play golf, isn't it? Australia. it's just. I mean, the 2-day test help for that. So if I ever come back to London, I'm more than happy. Make them flat when I'm not here. But if I come back, make them around. So Kingston Heath with UJB was an absolutely wonderful time. I played the Pro-Am at Royal Melbourne before the Australian Open, which was an absolute joy. Peninsula Kingswood was an incredible experience as well. The greens in that sunbelt are just absolutely spectacular. I had a wonderful day, an old teammates Nottinghamshire day. The Australian yesterday, Ed Cowan, the old Aussie opening batter, played for us at Notts in, I think, 2013. And Michael Lums over the old Sydney Sixes boy and Graham Swan, and we had a cracking day out there, which was quite spectacular. I've played New South Wales a couple of times, which is an absolute beast of a course when the wind blows. And gosh, I hope my partner Molly doesn't listen to this. She's going to think I've not worked at all. But yeah, I've been very, very lucky to play some wonderful courses. And ultimately, for me, golf, I'm very relaxed. It's about the company you keep, and it was. I've had some brilliant 4-balls. So actually, I do think about this Channel 7 crew. I've been looked after with golf and a couple of beers, a glass of wine. When you guys come to England, I've got some making up to do. There's going to be golf and wine being sent all over the place.
Hey, mate, we promised we wouldn't hold you over half an hour, so we are not going to do that. But just to echo Dos and Bluey's thoughts, you have been a breath of fresh air in the Sky box and then coming into our commentary box. Everyone in Australia has loved the way you go about it, but you've also been a great bloke to be around. We thank you so much for being a part of this show. And we look forward to the Sydney Test starting and getting a glass in there. Yeah,
just a little plug as well for the love of cricket. That that your podcast, it's a real beauty. So congratulations on that as well, Broady.
Yeah,
and Josh does a good.
I've loved Haydos where you sort of text me saying, "I'm just feeding the magpies, listening to your pod." Yeah, Josh is actually in South Africa at the minute. He's playing for Durban Super Giants.
How's he been tracking? I haven't actually watched.
He's done all right. He was really. I did a pod with him yesterday, and he was really pissed off with himself because he got 1 off 3 in a super over at the Wanderers, and he felt like he'd cost him the game. So he was a bit dark about that, but he's having a good time. You know, he's in that lovely twilight period of his career where he's got no captaincy stress, no stress about getting in the team because he's a gun. And he can just relax and play. And I think he's going to be a pretty dangerous cricketer for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well done, mate. Thank you so much. Enjoy Sydney. We'll see you out there very, very shortly. This is All Over Bar the Cricket. Get stuck in wherever you get your podcast, but also Instagram. Make sure you sign up there, and YouTube, register as part of that as well. Stuart Broad's a legend. Boys,
Legend, mate.
we'll see you up in Sydney. That is all over Bar the Cricket.